Hi everyone. Today's story is really special. I know I say that at the beginning of every read aloud, because all books are super special. This story helps us learn the importance of sharing. Have you ever had to share something before? It's not always easy. Sometimes sharing something we love or something we just got, like a new book bag or a new book, might be really hard to let someone else use. Today's story talks about sharing not just toys or books, but compassion, food, and more. Let's get started. Grab your comfy pillow. Chuck and Rosie were sitting on my pillow just now, so it's got some cat fuzz on it. Grab your comfy pillows and let's get started on story time. Today's story is called Thank You, Amu. Thank you, Amu. Let's get started. On the corner of First Street and Long Street, on the very top floor, Amu was cooking a thick red stew in a big fat pot for a nice evening meal. She seasoned and stirred it and took a small taste. What a delicious stew, Amu thought. Tonight's dinner will surely be the best I had ever made. With that, Amu put down her spoon and went to read a book before supper. As the thick red stew simmered on the stove, its scrumptious, that's another word for yummy, scrumptious scent moved out the window and out the door, down the hall, toward the street, and around the block until someone was at the door. When Amu opened it, she saw... Let's see who's at the door. A little boy. Little boy, Amu exclaimed, what brings you to my house? I was playing with my race car down the hall when I smelled the most delicious smell. The little boy replied, what is it? Thick red stew. Stew, he sighed. That sure sounds yummy. Amu thought for a moment. She was saving her stew for dinner, but she had made quite a bit. It would not hurt to share. Would you like some? The little boy nodded. So Amu spooned out some thick red stew from a big fat pot for her nice evening meal. Thank you, Amu, the little boy said and went on his way. With that, Amu closed the door and went back to her book. As she read, her thick red stew's scrumptious smell wafted out the window, out the door, down the hall, toward the street, and around the block until someone was at the door. Someone else. When Amu opened the door, this time she saw... a police officer. Mr. Police Officer, Amu exclaimed, what brings you to my house? I was on duty down the street when I smelled the most delicious smell, Miss Police Officer replied. What is it? Thick red stew. Ah, stew. she said, and her mouth watered. That sounds mighty tasty. Amu thought for a moment. There was still enough to share. Would you like some? The police officer nodded. Yes. Once again, Amu spooned out some thick red stew from the big fat pot for her nice evening meal. Thank you, Amu, the officer said, and went on her way. And so, for the second time, Amu closed the door and went back to her book. Sure enough, as she read, her thick red stew scrumptious smell wafted out the window and out the door, down the hall, toward the street, around the block, until again someone was at Amu's door. This time, when she opened it, she saw... I wonder who it is. A hot dog vendor. Mr. Hot Dog Vendor, Amu exclaimed, what brings you to my house? I was selling my hot dogs down the block when I smelled the most delicious smell, Mr. Hot Dog Vendor replied. What is it? Thick red stew. Ooh, stew. The vendor licked his lips. That sounds quite delicious. So Amu spooned out some thick red stew from the big fat pot for her nice evening meal. Thank you, Amu, the hot dog vendor said, and went on his way. Throughout the day, people from all across the neighborhood knocked on Amu's door. She fed a shop owner, a cab driver, a doctor, an actor, a lawyer, a dancer, a baker, an artist, a singer, an athlete, a bus driver, a construction worker. Even the mayor stopped by. And each time they knocked, Amu shared. That's a lot of people that she's sharing her stew with. Amu's showing kindness to all these people in her neighborhood, sharing her food. Soon the sky darkened, street lights brightened, and it was finally time for dinner. But when Amu opened the big fat pot of thick red stew for her nice evening meal, it was empty. There's no more stew left for Amu. Amu sniffled. There goes the best dinner I ever had. Sad and sorry and blue. She sat at the table with her empty pot until... Who could that be? Amu wondered. When she opened the door, she saw... I wonder who it is. The little boy, the police officer, the hot dog vendor, the shop owner, the cab driver, the doctor, the actor, the lawyer, the dancer, the baker. Why, everyone she fed today was at her door. I'm sorry, everyone, Amu sighed. My thick red stew is all gone. I have nothing left to share. The little boy tugged at Amu's sleeve. Don't worry, Amu. We're not here to ask. We are here to give. So Amu throughout our whole story was giving stew to all of these people. And then she didn't have anything left. She didn't save any for herself or for extra people to come. And when they came back, they said they didn't want any more soup. They wanted to give her something. Let's see what they're giving Amu. The police officer carried in a fresh salad. The mayor entered in with a roast chicken. The baker brought a collection of sweet baked goodies. Even the little boy presented Amu with something special in a shiny red envelope. Everyone who had knocked on Amu's door that day squeezed inside her tiny apartment together. They ate, danced, and celebrated. While Amu's big fat pot of thick red stew was empty, she didn't have any for her to eat. Her heart was full of happiness and love. So she wasn't able to taste her stew or eat it because she gave it away. She shared it with everyone. But they all came back and shared their special food and love with her. That dinner was the best she ever had. And they wrote her a thank you note that says, "Thank you, Amu." The end. That story makes my heart so happy. It reminds me of a couple other stories about having something special and wanting to share your something special with others. And there's a couple other stories out there that talk about sharing your something special, but not saving any for yourself, and not getting anything in return, or expecting anything in return. This story, Amu, or Grandma, shared something she made just for herself that she was looking forward to and to enjoy and eat for her nice evening dinner. And then a couple people in the neighborhood started to come because they smelled something scrumptious. And they asked, they said, "Amu, can I please have some of your red stew?" And she shared with all of them. And they said, "Thank you, Amu." But then she didn't have anything left. This is a reminder to all of us that when we are sharing stuff, make sure to take care of yourself as well. Make sure you do save some food for yourself to eat as well. And at the end of the story, we also learned another lesson. All of those people who Amu shared with came back. And they showed their gratitude, their thanks. They either brought her food, special treats, or wrote her a thank you letter to show how grateful they were that she shared with them. So the next time that you want to go out in the world and share with someone, or someone is sharing with you, remember two very important things. Number one, make sure to take care of yourself while sharing. Sharing is amazing and super helpful, but if you're sharing your food, make sure you save some for yourself as well, so that you have dinner at the end of the day, like Amu needed. And number two, remember to always come back and give thanks. If someone shares something with you, make sure you can return the love and kindness with a hug, an air hug now, saying thank you, or bringing them something in return. Okay, love bugs, thank you for reading with me today and spending some time listening to a wonderful story. I'll see all of you next time. Bye, everyone.